Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to I can't speak. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my channel. Today's video, I wanted to test out a new palette and kind of do like a smoky, fun fall makeup tutorial for you guys. So that's what I'm gonna do in today's video. Picked up this new palette right here, and this is the Lorac Pro Los Angeles palette. And I believe that this is new, but I haven't really heard anybody talking to it, and I probably know why, just for the fact that it is a very like neutral palette. But the reason why I wanted to use this palette and like it's not just like a normal neutral palette for me is just because I wanted something with more like purpley, mauvey undertones, and I just feel like recently everything is freaking red or like warm toned shadows, especially for fall. So that's why I wanted to do something a little bit different, something more like plummy and purpley, kind of mix it up a little bit. So that's today's video. In case you guys have noticed, if I'm looking a little flat, that's because I already have foundation on. I'm testing out the ColourPop No Filter foundation, and I'm doing a review on that. So I will probably have that one up like before, maybe after this video. And let's just create some looks. So inside the packaging, it did come with a little eye primer, and this is just the Lorac behind the scenes eye primer. I know that I've had a sample size of this one before, but I am going to use it in today's video just because it's new and why not use it. So I'm just going to prime my eyes with that. So I think what I'm going to do now is just set the primer, and I'm going to go into the palette here, and I'm just going to be using this first shade, which is this one right here, and it's just a cream colored shade. It's called Chantilly. Chantilly? Chantilly? I'm not quite sure what the name, how to pronounce that. And I'm just gonna set the eyeshadow primer with that since it's a pretty flesh toned color. Starting off, I'm using the second shade right here in the palette, and that is just the Brulee shade, and it just looks like it would be a good neutral kind of transition shade. And I'm going to start blending that color out into my crease right in here, and just like really lightly we're just kind of carving out like the shape of the eye. Nothing. So far I am noticing a lot of fallout in the actual palette itself, which doesn't bother me, but if you are someone who doesn't like fallout, then you're probably not going to be too happy with the amount of fallout, because like literally as soon as I tap it into the pan, it's just falling. Like a lot of powder is kind of falling out. Taking the shade right next to that, we're going in with this one right here in the shade Pecan, and that one's just a little bit deeper, and I'm using a smaller crease brush than last time, and I'm just gonna go right into my crease with that shade, just to kind of add a little bit more dimension to that first shade, but we're still not diving too deep into the color yet. I've noticed when it comes to working with like mauve tone shades, or just kind of like purple toned, cool tone shades, it's just kind of about like layering up to get the desired color that you want. As far as the fallout goes though, the actual shades aren't necessarily like falling out once they're on the eye itself. And they're packing quite the punch when it comes to the pigment. Like I'm just really lightly tapping in to build up slowly, but it looks pretty friggin' pigmented right away. I want to take this Rosebud shade right here, where it's definitely that more like cool toned purplish shade, and this shade was one of the colors that really drew me into the palette. Just very cool toned, very mauve-y, earthy. I feel like it'd be really pretty for fall, and you can make like a lot of really pretty looks with this shade. So I am really excited for this one, and I'm going to focus this one kind of more so on the outer V, so I'm packing the pigment in the inner corner, or the outer corner, not the inner. I'm going to do a lot of like Halloween looks this year, but I just don't know what I want to do. I just love this time of year so much. I know everybody does, but it just gets me excited for like the holidays and the cold weather. Like for me, I'm a winter baby through and through. Like I love the winter time. Don't get me wrong, like I love summer too, but winter is kind of just like where I thrive, you know? You can hide in like sweaters, and I don't know, I just love this time of year so much more than I do summer. I just feel like fashion's really great, like, I don't know, I just love it. What's your favorite season? What I like about the palette so far is that the colors they're not just blending in and kind of looking like mud, because that is one thing I've noticed when it comes to like cool toned palettes a lot of the time is, and that's my problem with Tarte eyeshadows, is that they look really pretty, but once you start blending them into like other shades, it starts losing that original color and basically just kind of turns into like one deep kind of, I don't know, like more just looks like a bruise or just like a dirty kind of mess rather than the actual separate colors doing what they're supposed to do on the eye. So it's nice that these colors are actually kind of like holding their own. They're not blending into each other, creating just like a mess of a look. Okay, so I think that we're really going to deepen up the look here, and I'm going in with this purple shade right here, that like really deepy, that really deep purple shade. So this is kind of like the true test, because a lot of times purple eyeshadows have a really difficult time actually blending. So I'm just gonna take the brush and just kind of stamp the pigment where I want it here, and then we'll kind of go in to blend it out. But so far it's still remaining pretty intact. It's not looking crazy patchy or anything, because the darker shades, especially purples, have a tendency to go a little bit patchy. Now to blend that out, I'm just using like a crease brush just to kind of blend out, and I'm just lightly blending that out into the outer V here. I don't want to go too crazy, but I just want to take away any of those harsh lines from where we laid it down. Definitely think that it's actually blending out really nicely considering it's super dark. I was really worried about that. All out underneath the eyes than the other shades, which is to be expected since it is a dark purple toned shade. I would expect it to fall out a little bit, so I'm not super mad about it. We can always go back in and clean that up later, so it's not the end of the world. But my main focus is just making sure that it's blended out to the best of my blending abilities. Okay, so now that I have both eyes complete, this is kind of what we're looking at. It's looking pretty silly right now. It's pretty dark, but dang, like they actually are blending really nicely. And don't worry if it looks a little bit messy right now. We're gonna go back in and clean it. But as far as right now with these deep purple shades, like it's actually blending out really well. So moving on, I'm gonna take the palette again and we're gonna dip into this shimmer shade, and it's this color right here, and it's just like a purpley shimmer shade, and I think it's called Merlot. So I went ahead and I wet a brush and then dipped it in with that Merlot shade. And the reason why I'm taking this is because it's a deeper kind of purpley shimmer shade, and we're just gonna kind of fuse that Merlot shade right in like the center of the eye, just so it blends in really well with that dark purple that we went. I don't want to use too bright of a shimmer shade. Kind of wanted something to help fuse the two together. I think that purple is kind of stepped on quite a lot. Like, in fact, I was always kind of anti-purple. I think that it looks beautiful on brunettes and brown eyes, hazel eyes, but purple was never really something that I've personally experienced anything with. It's just never really been my cup of tea, but I don't really know why, because it's actually like really pretty. I think I'm gonna go into this shade right here. The thing is, it's kind of light, so I'm gonna kind of pack it on and see how it builds up on top of itself, and then see if I need to go in with like another shade to kind of help fuse together again. But I think it looks like it's building upon itself pretty nicely, actually. That's exactly the look I was going for there, peeps. So I'm just going to take my blending brush from before and just kind of fuse everything together where it did go a little bit patchy in the crease area here. I'm just gonna kind of fuse together just a tiny bit. Really light-handed. Cool. And then I think I'm gonna go back in with my like fluffier brush, back into that rosebud shade, that like first kind of mauvey purple that we used. And I'm just gonna take that just to kind of clean up the edges up on the top here. And so I'm gonna smoke out that lower lash line heavily. My eye is watering profusely, but because we're doing really like dark shades, I kind of wanted to do a pretty vampy under eye. And I think that that's going to complete today's look using the Lorac new Pro Palettes. I think that this look actually turned out way more dramatic than I was anticipating that it would, but that is not a bad thing. I'm actually loving this palette. I highly recommend it if you are someone looking for more like mauve toned, kind of cool toned shadows, especially for fall. I mean, it's nothing extraordinary, it's nothing mind-blowing, but I would definitely say that the pigmentation is fantastic. And if it's colors that you don't have in your collection, then I say go for it because they blend it out like a dream. And this look is crazy. You can take this palette from a really bold look like this, or you can go a little bit more neutral toned as well. So I would say if you like the more cool toned shadows, definitely give this palette a try. I think that it's pretty dang good. I'd say it's worth the money. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys like these more like eyeshadow focused videos, definitely let me know. It's really fun filming them for me. And yeah, so that completes today's video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.